I'm Russell Jacobs. I'm a real estate lawyer here in North Miami covering the Tri-County area of Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach counties. I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about why you need a real estate lawyer for a transaction. Whether you hire me or someone else, there's some important things that you should understand. If you're buying a home or a piece of property, this is the most expensive thing that you're going to buy in your lifetime until you buy another one. And the expense is such that, and the detail and the complicated nature of this transaction is such that you really need someone guiding you, a professional, someone with experience and a long history of working on every possible issue that could arise, so that when something happens, and it's going to happen, you're covered. Let me help you give you some examples to what I mean about that. In Florida, you could use a title company instead of using a real estate lawyer, and they could handle the transaction. And as long as everything goes perfectly smooth and there's no hiccups and the title company is really good at what they do, that might work for most transactions. The problem is that doesn't always happen that way, and title companies tend to be a mill where they're just running one process after another without really any focus on the particular client. What does that mean for you? Well, very simply, they're not paying attention to your particular file. And they're also not engaging all the different searches and things that they could be doing that may be a little outside the scope of title to make sure that you're covered when you move into your home. What do I mean by that? Here's a good example. Code violations or open permits. If you have an open permit on the property, that means that a owner of the property, when they engaged a contractor, didn't do all the paperwork they were supposed to do with the city or the county to get their permits properly. So that permit is now sitting open in the county. Well, if you don't close it out, when you take over title of that property, you now own that open permit, and now you have to hire a contractor to close it. That's going to get pretty expensive. Most title companies don't even check for that because it's not related to the transaction itself. As a lawyer, I want to make sure that I check for that because I'm looking after you and your interests. I'm also guiding you through the transaction. So as we deal with the contract, I'm going to help negotiate it for you. Why is that important? It's very important. The contract is the basis upon which the whole deal works. Right there is where all the negotiation is done. Now, some people will say, oh, the realtor's going to handle that for me, but most of them will say it's a standard contract. A standard contract, that's a form contract that the Florida lawyers have developed to protect brokers, to protect the real estate agent. If you look at half the provisions in there, it's to protect them. It doesn't protect the seller and the buyer. In fact, half the time it's slanted one way or the other. What you need is a lawyer who's looking after you, after your interests, so that they can renegotiate the contract and provide the proper addendums to the contract to make sure that you're protected. A perfect example. If you're a buyer in a house, the thing that you want to make sure that you have is specific performance. What does that mean? It means that if something goes wrong in the transaction, the seller doesn't do what they're supposed to do, you get the house, not your deposit back. You'd want either your deposit or the house back, but you want the choice. If you go with the standard contract, you may not get that. There are lots of other reasons, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I want you to understand the important differences between a title agent, a real estate agent, and why you need an attorney in a Florida real estate transaction. If you'd like more information about how this works and why a real estate agent, real estate attorney is more important to you, please contact my office at 305-405-4444, and I'd be happy to explain the differences. Thank you.